here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's lucky.
So I had, yeah.
The Facebook page is our
Yeah, I started getting into that.
Clinton
So, yeah, I got injections in
County.
my back. It's better now. But it's
You get that
still
done here?
Ohio
OSU.
Oh, yeah?
I go to their spine
Community
center.
page.
Yeah, my still bothering me.
Okay.
Compression
Yeah.
fracture.
Ooh.
There's a guy over there.
I have like a divot in my vertebrae.
That is
Yeah.
That'll never
more of an
fill in,
expert
so it still
than
bothers me.
any of us on how things are supposed to work. So what caught my attention because it
Already, and I didn't know, compressed and degenerative. And then when the fall happened, it
Six
pinched a
steps.
nerve and.
Okay.
was proper
So it was
Shots
all
just
ready.
numb that
Hello,
nerve.
hello.
Block that nerve.
So there was 6 steps. And it started with
Neurosurgery at
discussion
OSU.
council,
Spine center.
then
Oh, is it?
community,
The spine center, I'm sorry, spine center.
then something else.
OSU Spine Center, and they were
And then beside those 6
like,
steps,
I get
there's a ladder.
injections here, but I have to go out east.
2 people,
To the spine center and get.
Port Authority and city council or something, or whatever, the city council
Now I got mine full.
administration or somebody that were carrying Amazon.
Sometimes it's every other
Why
week.
was it like
Because
that?
I sold all my stuff.
I got it.
And I've seen that one. I
Collectibles by the back door.
mean, if these are the steps we're supposed
Outside
to
the
take
back.
and we
And
don't,
that gets full empty into that.
Well, that was to annex land.
And then the other one over by the driveway.
but you go read everything that's good.
You know, I involved in those. It takes me a while to pull all mine out. Snows.
I haven't
Things
really
like
looked,
it's like
I read the
snow.
notes.
Turns out this guy was a mayor. And a councilman. He is a fraud investigator.
Just like the rest of us.
Something else.
Yeah.
And he now lives in Wilmington. He's kind of involved there.
Yeah.
And he writes these really thorough explanations of how things are supposed to work. For example, different topic. The proper way to accuse yourself.
22.
Okay.
Right? And his statement is, if you have a conflict, you say, I'm going to accuse myself. You have to state why, which I know why. I knew you were supposed to say why.
Well, that makes sense.
And then you should leave the room.
Yeah, sure. You don't have a
Shouldn't
whole lot.
even be, because if you're still up here
Then
and
you don't
you're
have
still
them.
having these discussions, then you're influencing the decision.
What you guys like now?
Probably. That's good.
It's over and done.
She's 5.
Well,
Congratulations.
30 months.
oh, yes, welcome, welcome. Good to see you again. Glad
Excited to be back. Thank you. Me too.
I didn't do it. You talked to him.
I know. He talked to you, and you talked to me, and you talked to. I got 6 minutes. I'm excited. Just get my arms around what Matt left me. So, I may stumble a little bit, but not a lot.
No, you should be okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think,
Do we know if it's, can you tell if it's the machine?
I think
I mean, there was the patent in there to control that, or if it's going to get with.
I tried to play with that. And even
But then to know that we have volume and picture.
thank you for sending this stuff, Josh. I did not get a chance to read through all of the rules, but
The only thing, Andy was talking about, the only thing changed on there was committees. Committee section, finance and VP.
I know. This must be what you had mentioned.
Yes.
So Tommy and I should be going.
Yes. City pays for it.
Okay. Independence, that's about by Cleveland.
Yes.
Okay.
Shannon
You
gets
don't want that one.
Mm-mm.
Lewis Center's going to be the closest.
Yeah.
Or go down to Cincinnati.
stand up here and do it.
I went to one in Cincinnati.
Fine with me, but it doesn't
Okay.
matter to
And
me.
the second one I went to Lewis Center. We went to Cincinnati just because we wanted to hang out for the night.
Yeah, oh, well, they've got some, there's
Go
some fun
to a
stuff.
restaurant down there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
How
it didn't really
long?
matter. It's a day.
8:30 to probably 5-ish.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite that long.
It's very,
Yeah. Well,
it's real good to go to.
Greg was talking about something that's online, like some sort of council training.
Didn't you have to take the training online for our public records and
One person, but I don't.
well, yes, but that didn't happen, so we all took it. You were all sent the link to do that. Did you take that online training, the town municipal link to public records?
I think so, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think we have to take something every year.
I don't
I think Henry did it for all of his 1 year.
Yeah, but then he didn't file that correctly, so they thought we didn't do it.
Oh, no.
Who was sworn? I didn't. Who else?
Everybody. I think Rich.
You've been sworn.
For this time next year, we got to put in a petition for the next term already.
But
In case you run into you don't have to do it twice.
Are Rich and Shannon coming, or?
Definitely not.
You know, when you get started, you got to change.
I haven't heard from her. Normally she's
Got two of them not going to make it.
Well,
Wonder if she forgot since it's Monday.
it's weird to come in on a Monday.
She was here last night, missed two. Everybody is.
I haven't looked at my phone.
Don't see nothing. Go see you have some explaining to do.
Sheriff, it was different from the last one.
Oh, it is.
Go get me one of them.
Not stopping to answer the phone
No,
this time.
no, it was me. I was getting ready.
No, but somebody had unlocked my key card. I wouldn't have walked all the way around the building. My key card's not working.
Do you think it's because of Monday night?
Yeah.
It's probably because of Monday night.
Should work all the time now. But,
Mine didn't work.
Well,
oh,
I didn't
Happened
leave
Monday
myself
night.
enough time to go for a walk.
mine worked.
Shannon's
happened
normally
Monday
very
night.
good about it. She's not going to be here till
My
I'm
my
here.
key card only works the first and third
Maybe you
Thursday of
forgot.
the month. From
Oh.
5:40,
Hey, Josh.
5:30 to
You
7:18.
have tonight's legislation?
Well, the door was unlocked when I came to the front, so
Right.
I didn't
But
have.
I got here at quarter till. Couldn't get there.
Do you have tonight's, because this is everything you signed for the minutes?
6:05.
Oh, golly.
Sure.
And walked around front. I thought
Oh,
maybe
it's
they
in
were
there.
up there, so I just stood out front.
Oh, I see. Is it unlocked?
I didn't even.
Yours?
I don't know. It says legislation for tonight in office.
Yeah. This council have an office?
We did. I think it
I see the closet is
best advice in it, maybe.
Since we have minutes, does everybody sign up that wants to speak?
We'll go down there for the swearing in.
Oh, right. Got my little certificate.
Want us down there?
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Elector, and I'm like, that's
We
funny.
don't need to take these though,
Never
right?
sent me one of these.
I don't remember getting your guys.
I guess we get one every year, I don't know, but.
I've never gotten one.
Mr. Boyd, Tommy Boyd, there's another Mr. Boyd out there. You want to take the picture if you want. First swearing in, you got the phone. All the time.
That little camera can do it.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get on with the swearing in for the 26, 27 years of London City Council. If everyone could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I shall support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and the codified ordinances of the City of London, and that I shall faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of council member for the City of London, Ohio, for the term ending December 31st, 2027, to which I have been elected. Congrats. Then if you just sign your paper and hand it back to me, and I'll get a copy of it. All right.
Yes. Very long departure at all now. Thanks, you too.
You wanted those, right?
Okay, so let's get on with the meeting. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent reflection, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Clerk, could we have roll call, please?
Josh Peters,
Here.
Andrew Hitt,
Here.
Rich Hayes, Lisa Jackman,
Here?
Shannon Trainer. Here. Tom Boyd,
Here.
John Stahl,
Present.
Greg E.
Here.
Okay, did everyone get a chance to take a look at the December 18th minutes? Any corrections or concerns or anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. There are no public hearings tonight. We do have a couple communications and announcements. First off, I want to Tommy Boyd on council, and also our new city clerk, Chris Miller. I've emailed and left copies here for you. London City Council rules for 26-27. The only changes I made on this from the last rules we had under the committees, I deleted the BPU stuff under finance and added sanitation department to public service. Did everybody get a chance to look at these rules? Any concerns or questions? All in favor to pass these rules?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Then second, I have London City Council committees for 26-27. For finance and personnel, I've got Greg Eads, chairman, and then Shannon Trainer and Lisa Jackman. On public service, I got Andrew Hitt, chairman, Lisa Jackman and Thomas Boyd. And then for public safety, I have Rich Hayes, John Stahl, and Andrew Hitt. And then Rich Hayes as chairman. And then President Pro Tempore, I have Greg Eads. Any questions or concerns on these? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Pose same sign. All right, committees are set. And the last thing I handed out to you was 2026 new council seminars given by the Ohio Municipal League. It's for newly elected council members. It's a seminar. There's 3 of them. One's February 7th, Cincinnati. Second one's February 21st. That's in Lewis Center. And then the last one, March 7th, in Independence, which I believe up around Cleveland. I recommend and encourage every council member to go. It's very informative. So if you would, if you could let me know which seminar you'd like to go to. That way I can let the auditors know when we get that paid. If you could let me know, I would say probably by our next council meeting, that would be great. Okay, on to audience concerns. First up, we have Doug Piles. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Doug Piles. My address is 323 Bishop Drive. It's been a long while since I've been here to address the council with concerns, but I feel tonight is one of them. Your council is making a decision to eliminate another one of the wonderful services that's being provided by the City of London. So I'd like to just bring up a little bit about the past history of those decisions. The first decision you made was to kick out an absolute wonderful company that provided emergency services to the City of London for all those years, and instead brought that responsibility into the fire department. And how has that worked? Well, that was done without any input or any vote by the people of the City of London, whether they wanted that to happen. That left a lot of unrest and regrets by the property owners. And so much so that the voters have turned down 3 fire levies. Does that tell you something? Additionally, the fire department went out and bought a brand new Ford truck for couple $100,000. The fire chief has a brand new truck. Now, what kind of image is that presenting to the people out there? Additionally, the council, you council, had to fund the fire department with about $200,000 of money just to help them through. You should not be spending general fund money to support the fire department. That's illegal. That's not in the resolutions that were placed. Now, the next thing is the decision to give away to Mid-Ohio Water and Sewer District all of our assets, all our trucks, all our equipment, all the facilities, plus $6.2 million in cash. What a wonderful deal. 6.2. Where'd that come from? If we had that kind of money available, it seems that the two services could have used that money for their own operation. So now what has happened? So I was at the presentation at the BPU and the council by the Mid-Ohio representative as to what was going to happen. At that meeting, a spreadsheet was handed out to everybody, and I have a copy of it that shows year one, the rates in the city of London for services, water and sewer would go down. I made that presentation to the board up there at one of the meetings. I said, hey, this document, what happened? They looked at me like I was from outer space. None of the trustees had any knowledge that this document existed or that document was presented to the London Council for the decision. So then they told me that the City of London signed the contract, get this, that allowed them to keep the current rates for 3 years. So they're for 3 years, they're getting the increased amounts of contribution for water and sewer. Now what has happened? What has happened? We have two representatives on that trustees that's supposed to represent the City of London. I have been to the meetings. I have read all the minutes. I have yet to hear either one of those representatives bring up any issue with the City of London. We're not being represented on that board. The City of London is not. So then I went to another meeting and I made a presentation. I said, look, we have been paying because the BPU and London Council approved borrowing $18 million to fix the well out there for the water plant that's not been existent, and also to put in a new sewer line up here that's supposed to run. That hasn't happened yet. So what I asked the trustees about, I said, you know what? The property owners and users have been paying the increased funds that was supposed to cover the payment on that loan. I asked them, what have you done with that money for all this time? Have you put those funds aside separate into a fund so that when you do get a loan, that there's going to be a big payment on it? Again, they looked at me like I was dumb. Where was I coming from? Now, the other thing that happened recently, which is really something, as you know, out on the other side of town, there's 350 condominium owners out there. Mid-Ohio Water and Sewer District has said that is all your responsibility. Even though for the total time that I've lived in Kensington, any service that needed to be done on the water or sewer line was graciously taken care of by the London units. It fixed 2 water leaks that we had. London came in and fixed those water leaks. We had a sewer backup. They come in and open those lines up. And we had a fire hydrant that got knocked over. The water department come in and replaced and fixed that hydrant knocked off. So a precedent has been set as far as everybody out there thinks that the City of London was supporting, and our hydrants were flushed, at least in my time been there, were flushed twice by city service people. Now they're saying no. Anything that's in those operations is all the homeowner's responsibility. So if we have a water leak, the property owners have to pay for the repair. Now, is that good service? Has that worked out for us, you know? The other thing is, all the conversations that's being done by the Board of Trustees and so on are projects that are north. The Plain City, they're going to put in a new sewage treatment plant at 42 and 70, and they're going to run a line all the way from Plain City to pump their sewage down into that plant. That plant's going to cost multi-million-dollars for that. They're also running water lines through the town of Lafayette, and Somerford has gotten help. What have they done in the City of London? Nothing. They're still collecting these high rates. One other key factor that was mentioned in these presentations was that any work that was being done north of London would not, the financial burden of that would not be placed on the city of London. You think that's going to happen? I can't believe that. If that's a new sewer plant that they're going to put in, our rates are going to go up to help pay for that. I don't think they're going to honor that commitment they have. So, what I'm saying, now I'm worried about the experience you're going to have if you turn over our trash system, sanitation, to an outside contractor. How do you think that's going to work? Our history is not, what I've just told you, has not worked out well by giving up the control. You have no control when you give it up to somebody else. Do you think the trash company is going to provide the level of services we're currently getting? You think they're going to offer bulk pickup once a month for people at no charge? Do you think they're going to pick up and provide curb support for elderly people that that they're doing now? The service they're providing, I understand there's issues with sanitation, but the level of service, do you think we're going to get that from Rumpke or whatever? No. They're going to give you a proposal that's going to cost $1.298 this year, but you look what's going to happen the next year and the next year as far as rate increases. That's been their history. Go to West Jefferson and talk to those people. Ask what's happened to their trash expenses. I'm worried about you giving up again, and you have no control. You have no control. I'm worried about this proposal you have of giving up another service, the City of London, to outside people. If you're giving away all the services, why do we need an administration group handling that? They're going to be not managing anything, because the only thing it's going to have is a street department. So, that's my comments. I'm sorry. I hope you consider this and you think about the property owners in this town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, we have Jim Boyd. State your name and your address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name's Jim Boyd, 364 Ashford Avenue. Good evening, council members and members of the public administration, etc. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'd like to begin by addressing the three pieces of legislation currently before you concerning the city's sanitation department. Taken together, these items represent a significant and a far-reaching decision about how a core city service will be delivered and how much residents will pay for that service. Before discussing those items directly, though, I want to briefly reflect on a decision this city has already experienced, and that's the transfer of the Water and Sewer Department to Mid-Ohio. At the time that decision was made, I believe everyone involved acted in good faith. There was urgency, there was legislative timelines, there were pressures to move quickly. But I ask this question honestly, and I ask it without any accusation. Did council truly have all of the information that it needed at the time to fully understand the long-term impacts of that decision? And looking back now, are there any regrets about how that decision was made or the outcomes that followed? I would ask you to reflect on that just for a few minutes. This is not a question to assign any blame. It's about learning. Because the decision now before you regarding sanitation is also significant because it's difficult to reverse. It's one that will affect residents for decades and not years. My goal tonight is not to argue either for or against outsourcing. It's not to argue for or against rate increase. My goal tonight is to ensure that this council, the administration, and that the public have the best information possible so that this council can make the most informed decision about the future of the city's sanitation department. With that goal in mind, I would respectfully ask several questions of you. First, as you sit here tonight, do you have a clear side-by-side information showing pros and cons of each available option? Keeping sanitation in-house, outsourcing, some combination of the two, along with the short and long-term costs and the risks associated with each option. Second, do you have all of the information necessary to responsibly approve spending $1.5 to $1.7 million in capital improvements in order to continue providing the same level of service that taxpayers are already receiving today? Do you know what that investment would fix? Do you know what it would not fix? How long will it sustain these operations? And what additional capital investments would be required in the future? Third, and this is with respect to rates. Do you have the information in front of you that would allow you to clearly explain to any taxpayer why you approve an $8 rate increase, a rate which amounts to roughly a 36 to 38% increase to simply provide the same existing services? And just as importantly, do you have the answer to the follow-up questions that these residents will eventually ask? Will there be any additional rate increases? When might they occur? How large might they be? And exactly what will those future increases be funding? These are not unreasonable questions. They're questions that these taxpayers ask while they're around their kitchen tables, during the activities throughout the community, and some of them, mind you, will bring those questions right here to these very chambers to ask you directly. If the answer to any of these questions I've just asked you is no, not fully, not yet, then I believe we all share the same interest, and that is in slowing down just enough to close those information gaps. I want to be very clear about something. This is not about blaming any sanitation employees or any city staff. Everything I've seen suggests that they're working within real constraints: equipment limitations, staffing shortages, and financial pressures. These are the same kinds of challenges that any business or employer faces every day. Those conditions do not point to people problems. These point to process and system problems. By way of my background, a little bit about me, I hold a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt equivalent certification from Villanova University. For those of you unfamiliar, Lean Six Sigma is a widely accepted process improvement framework. It's used globally to identify waste and errors across manufacturing, service, healthcare, and governmental organizations. A local example, Stanley Electric, for example, where structured process improvement and data-driven decision-making is, I'm sure, part of their everyday operations. I personally have experience examining complex operational systems to identify root causes of waste, inefficiency, and unnecessary costs. That experience is fact-based, it is not opinion-based, and focused on solutions rather than blame. I'm willing to volunteer my time as a concerned citizen, bringing the education, the practical experience, and now with my retirement, the time necessary to help facilitate a structured team-based review of the sanitation operations, where staff, supervisors, administration, and other stakeholders actually walk through the work as it is actually performed and identify where problems occur and agree on practical improvements. The review would be designed to identify root causes of recurring service issues, separate avoidable costs from unavoidable costs, identify actionable improvement opportunities, attach realistic cost estimates and a return on investment analysis of those actions, and summarize these findings in a clear pros and cons, cost versus values report to the council that the council, the administration, and the public can understand. The purpose of this effort would be able to give everyone involved the confidence that when the decision is made, it is informed, it's deliberate, it's transparent, and it's defensible. For that reason, I respectfully request that council table the sanitation related legislation for a defined period, say 60 to 90 days. That would allow time for this review to be completed and for the findings of the report to be presented to council so that this council can make the best informed decision possible. Ultimately, I believe that every major decision made by this council should be weighed against one overarching question. How does this decision impact the quality and the value of the services provided to the taxpayers this council and administration represent? Let me repeat that. How does it impact the quality and the value of the services provided to the taxpayers this council and administration represent. That's what we're here for. Not just this year, not just next year, but over the long term. Sanitation is one of the most fundamental services that this city provides. Decisions about outsourcing, capital spending, and rate increases deserve the same level of care, analysis, and transparency that we would expect from any other essential service, especially when the public is being asked to pay more for this service. My comments tonight here are offered in a spirit of collaboration and shared responsibility and making the best possible decision for the future of the City of London. I want to thank you for your time, your service, and your willingness to consider this approach. Thank you. I'll offer any questions if anyone has any.
Mr. President, I'd like to add to this a little bit. So Mr. Boyd had contacted me and offered these services, which are well above the things that I've considered. And I felt that it needed to go to the Safety Service Director, so we extended an invitation, or I extended an invitation to the Safety Service Director, and we did sit and have lunch. He discussed many of the same points with Mr. Saltzman at that time. I will say Mr. Saltzman shook his head in agreement with a lot of the things he said. However, there's been no decision made from his part that I'm aware of that he wants to move forward. I would like that to know whether Mr. Saltzman wants to move forward with this. I think that what Mr. Boyd has proposed would certainly give us more information. I just want everybody to know that Mr. Saltzman is at least aware of this. We just don't know how he wants to pursue with that. And Mr. Boyd, there's some new information that you brought forward, at least new arguments tonight. I have to agree that when you go back and ask your questions that you did, do I feel comfortable making the decision that I have enough information? I don't think I do. I think there's a lot that we need to know more about, or to examine further, whether it's step one or step two in what we do. And I appreciate your at least bringing those points up tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Brent McDaniels. State your name and address for the record, please.
Brent McDaniels, 1051 Amherst Boulevard. I would just like to reiterate the fact of that it was such an honor and a privilege to work up there for the taxpayers, and touch on this sanitation debacle. Actually, they're right, spot on everything. I mean, I heard nothing wrong, especially about the information part. I toured the facility September 4th and thought it was horrible. And like I stated at the last council meeting, this didn't happen overnight. This has been from years and years of neglect. It's unreal what these people in that sanitation department have been working through and working with. And that's all I got to say. I think it's time for the excuses to end and the accountability to begin, and stop with the giveaways. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Up next, we have committee reports. Which I don't think we'll have any, but I'll go through anyways. Greg?
The Finance Committee has not met. We are due to meet after the other two committees. I believe that is on Tuesday the 13th. So we will meet no earlier than 6:30. However, if the others run over, we'll meet a few minutes after that. If they run early, we'll wait till 6:30 because that's our announced time.
All right, thank you. Lisa?
I have nothing.
All right, Andy?
Yeah, Public Service Committee meeting is next Tuesday at 5 o'clock in the meeting room next door.
Shannon?
I think all meetings are scheduled for the Tuesday. So we have those in the app.
Tommy?
Nope.
John?
Safety. Safety would be 6 o'clock on the 13th.
Okay. On to city official reports. Steve, do you have anything? On to old business, up for third reading. Resolution 190-25. Can I get a motion to read by title number?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution 190-25, 5, sponsored by Andrew Head and Lisa Jackson. Resolution authorizing the safety director to advertise for bids for sanitation department services.
Mr. President, so I'm a little torn. I'll say that up front because I think Mr. Jim Boyd brought up some points that make me think that I don't have enough information, which at the last meeting I did discuss the fact that maybe we would bring this to a ballot. So I do have some comments. So I brought that idea forward as to whether or not we should continue to put it on the ballot, to whether or not we want to continue sanitation services or get bids to privatize this. Mayor Clouser questioned if this had to be a citizens' initiative and made a point of reminding us that we were elected to make decisions. The way this administration's handled things in the past is to get council to make the decisions, especially when there's a feeling that there may be public outcry. This started when the city withdrew from the emergency medical district, continued when city took action to stop allowing the income tax for those that worked and paid income tax outside of the city, and council then made the decision to join Mid-Ohio Water Sewer District. I don't believe any of these items were council-led initiatives, but were first presented by the administration, and council took actions from that point. The fact that the voters were asked years ago if we should privatize and the voters chose to keep our services should be the reason why we ask again. And do not make the decision for the people of London. The city can ask a non-binding advisory question of the voters and can proceed from that point. I've asked the law director for further information. If you're not aware, her grandmother passed away, so she said she needed a little more time to get that done. She emailed today and said she is looking into this now.
Can I address that?
Yeah.
I took it out. Am I on?
Aha, okay. So I just did a quick research on this would be what's considered an advisory election. The Ohio Secretary of State has put out a pamphlet that addresses current changes in the law, so this would be effective for 2026 and subsequent. Basically, an advisory election is a non-binding election on a question that municipal officials submit to the electorate to gauge voter attitudes on a particular topic. An advisory election is not intended as a substitute for the election on a municipal ordinance, resolution, charter amendment, or other measure. Rather, the advisory election only initially tests the appeal of the proposed legislation with a second election on the legislation itself to follow if municipal officials so choose. It does cite the authority granting the right of a municipality to hold advisory elections and the procedure that would follow. Basically, we'd have to certify a question to the Board of Elections. We are not a charter municipality, so there's no prohibition there. And then basically there are some languages or some word choices that would need to also accompany anything that would be on the ballot. The timing for this would be 90 days prior to the election. Didn't get deep enough to know whether that's a primary election or the general election that ballot initiative would have to be on. I do know that we have, obviously there are some very real funding concerns for the state of the current department, but should council want to put this matter basically to stick a toe in the water regarding the public's feedback on the, and provided we have sufficient information to give the public all of the pros and all of the cons, including level of service, whether or not there's going to be a rate increase, which there would be, and I believe my notes from Finance Committee suggest not only an initial rate increase, but a continuing rate increase for subsequent years. And obviously there's the human factor with the current employees of that department, and the home rule, and everybody wants to keep these kind of services in-house. Again, if we can submit all of that in a in a chart that's nice and compact and put it to an advisory ballot, then that is permissible according to what I've discovered.
Okay. So just a little further on that, Ms. Trainer, It appears that the deadline, if we were going to submit, that would be February 4th. That's 90 days before the primary election.
I don't know if that's a primary or if it's a general election. I got to get into that.
Well, we do have the law director looking into that, so hopefully we know something about that by the next meeting. But again, I'm torn, do we do this? It's been brought up to me by a friend of mine that what will you gain from this? Will you really gain any insight? Because it's a primary election, there'll probably be less voter turnout. And he also impressed upon me that we were elected to make decisions, and maybe we should make the best decisions we can with the best information we can get. So that's what's making me torn about all of this. However, we also have a new council member that I don't want to speak for him tonight, but this is an awful lot on his plate for the very first meeting. And if nothing else, and we don't have a law director here, we could leave this on and buy a little bit more time, so maybe we can find out if the safety service director is interested in the process Mr. Boyd brought up. We still have time if we want to. We don't have any legislation tonight. If we want to put it on the ballot, that would have to be at the next meeting, and that would also have to be under an emergency because it would have to be done before the February 4th date. So that's just my thoughts on this, and my suggestion would be to leave it on tonight.
Any other questions?
No, I think we need to leave it. I think we need to leave it on, myself personally.
Okay, we'll move on to Resolution 191-25. Can I get a motion to read by title and number?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution 191-25, sponsored by Andy Hitt and Lisa Jackman. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for trash hauling services.
So I assume, these are all three related, so I assume we would most likely do the same thing, just put it off till we can get more input, if there's any objections.
No, I don't object. I do want to just bring up the comment that the Safety Service Director mentioned that he could extend or to extend the services through our current contract. I believe he also advised me that the rates, Rumpke said the rates would stay the same to transfer from now until that point, that they weren't going to raise the rates on us for now.
Any other comments? Okay, on to ordinance 192-25. Can I get a motion to read by title?
So moved.
Second.
Ordinance 192-25, sponsored by Andy Hitt and Lisa Jackman. An ordinance adjusting the rate of sanitation department services.
So this relates also to the same topic, so I assume we would leave this on to.
Any other comments on this?
Are there any emergency reasons that they would be needing us to get one of these passed tonight? Or are we all good on their line to kind of make sure everything's still functioning? Because, I agree with everything you're saying. I just want to make sure nobody's kind of having a paycheck held or anything. Nope.
No, I don't think that's an issue, and I believe Mr. Salt, the biggest issue immediately was whether or not we were going to have to raise rates immediately, and the thought was we would have enough, at least at the last meeting, that we can carry over till May. We should be able to be good until then, whether a decision's made one way or the other, but if we continue with the service, then we know that we're going to have to raise rates, and if we're not, we'll have more information by then. Unless anybody has anything.
I think the rental truck could be, the lease could be extended out.
Yes.
I think,
By the month.
was it till March? Or was it by the month?
I think he said it was by the month, and it was supposed to go through January, but they could continue that on.
I believe so, yeah.
And Jim Boyd's shaking his head because Steve Saltzman mentioned that.
At our conversation, our lunch conversation, that is what he said, yes.
Yeah.
It was extendable on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, anything else on this? Okay, there's no new business. On to roundtable. Greg, I'll start with you.
So once again, at the last meeting, we had issues with our video, the sound. I tried to listen to it the next day. I had my volume all the way up. I was at my house. My TV was on in the background. It wasn't very loud, but it was loud enough that I had trouble picking up on it, so I had to turn the TV off so that I could hear at all. It was my experience that it was better to turn on the closed captioning. The closed captioning is not always right. It makes up words as it goes. But I could follow it along, and I knew which words were being said at the time that I could follow along. And I just, Mr. Anthony contacted me today to once again tell me about his displeasure not being able to pick up on that. Even though he was here, he couldn't hear it afterwards. And he also, once again, said that he would really, thinks that council should take steps forward. If this isn't going to work, how do we fix that? And I know Council President Peters might have some additional information about that.
Yeah, listen, I watched it on YouTube. I was on my phone. I watched it on my phone, and I could hear the volume on it.
But did they come in and do some work?
Oh, Eve can address that, yes.
So right now, no new work has been done aside from just the simple things that we could do here. The gains on the microphones are turned all the way up. It is as high as the microphone can get. I know. This is partly why sometimes you are hearing that high-pitched, loud sound. It's also why we have had to turn down the speaker that is above you. It's also why we've had to turn off half of the lights over you as well, because the gain that high and those lights create a disturbance that is a terrible noise. I have reached out to One Vision Solutions, and I'm actually meeting with them on Wednesday to do a quote for a revamp of this room. It is an active process, but it's a process.
Can I look through it first, please?
And there was a conversation, I know, before to try to use the same type of system to record, and that was kind of put on the back burner because this is YouTube, and in that room it is Zoom, yes. And that's still your thought process that you think that this should be the same?
I would suggest that they are the same. You are already paying for it. I think there are numerous features for Zoom that would be useful. The transcription on Zoom is stellar. And I would love you all to be able to have that for these meetings. But also you're already paying for Zoom, and you use it in one room, so I don't see why we couldn't use it in this one. But that is part of the quote and finding out what we would need to be able to change over the room.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right. Lisa.
I don't have anything.
Andy.
I don't have anything.
Shannon.
I'm good, thanks.
Tommy.
Thank you, everybody, for, helping me finally get a seat on up here. I know I was sitting out there with Greg before he got up here also even, and thank you very much. Hope we can do all we can. My question about the Zoom, though, would that be replacing the YouTube videos then and eliminating them, or would you have Zoom videos and the YouTube broadcast?
Due to the storage needs of every council video, I would personally suggest that you utilize Zoom to create those videos and then you host them on YouTube, because the storage for YouTube is much larger than what you have with Zoom.
Yeah.
So they would still be accessible through the same YouTube link. Just the recording itself would be done differently.
What about the live feed?
We might be able to bounce it to where your live feed is the same link. It's something that I'm going to have to look further into. The live feed will be available to the public from a one-click, just like it is currently on the website. So whether that one click will take you to a Zoom or take you to a YouTube, it's still just one click and you go to a meeting. You don't have to sign in or sign up or do anything, and it's a one-click meeting.
All right.
Any other
Thank you
questions?
much. That's good.
All right, John.
Thank everybody for coming out. It's very interesting to find other people's ideas and what we think, what we've done wrong, right, or whatever. So just thank you for your information. And if you're tired of winter, Easter's 3 months from today. That's all.
Okay. I know computers, I was hoping Steve would be here tonight, but he's sick. Hopefully, by the committee meetings, he might know something, or by next council meeting. I'm sure he knows what's going on. So that's all I have on the computers. Is everyone still able to get their emails? From John, do you still get emails? Okay.
Mr. Boyd, did you get your emails today, or
Yeah.
about this?
Yep.
Okay. Also, while we're discussing that, there was a printout, and I don't know that you have it, but if you don't, I believe you're going to have to ask Mr. Saltzman for it, because he handed it out, which was the City of London sanitation anticipated expenses for the year.
Yes, I would like to see
And there was also kind of a breakdown looking at Plain City that I didn't know if you had that, and it may not be up to date, but at least we were given something. I didn't know if you had the opportunity to see that.
Not yet. Thank you much.
Okay. Well, that's all I have. I get a motion to adjourn.
And welcome to the new clerk.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I didn't know.
Okay.
Can make my next.
Can I play with the speakers for a minute? Oh my God. Having